What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Drew IQ. Welcome to another episode of Winners Win. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 savings accounts for you to be using in 2022. Now, this took me a little bit of homework. I had to do a lot of research on every single different type of savings accounts. So please, if you would, just like, subscribe, leave a comment below if you have, any personal favorites for your own savings accounts or just any recommended videos for me to do in the future. I do read all the comments. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get right into the video today. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to talk about when considering savings accounts is what are we looking for and what makes a savings account a good savings, right? Now, right now, currently the interest rates for all savings accounts are extremely low because the Federal Reserve has been lowering them. And so right now, it's really hard to find a savings account that's really going to give you any interest at all. But right now, I think our goal when looking at savings account is to at least get 0.30% interest. Right now, if you look at the national average, the average is about 0.30. But a lot of these big time banks like Bank of America, Chase, Capital One, if you get, just a basic savings account there, you're only going to be getting a 0.06% interest, which is just awful. Completely useless, right? Like, that's nothing. Okay, guys, nothing. Especially when considering that there's so many savings accounts that you can get 0.50%, 0.35%, which we're going to be talking about today. So number one is we're going to be looking for savings accounts that is making at least 0.30% interest rate, because right now that is, in my opinion, any less than that, you shouldn't even consider the savings account. Right now, 0.30 is kind of the standard. The high end is about 0.50 to 0.60. So right now, with the current Federal Reserve 2022, those are going to be the interest rates that you're going to be getting. I used to get a whole 2.16% interest back in 2018. But we're not going to get into that, all right? We have to deal with 2022, what we got to work with. All right, so next thing that you want to be looking at is, are these savings accounts FDIC insured? Now, what that means essentially is that the bank, if it fails, your money is still going to be protected and you're not going to lose your money. There's been times back in the day, I think there's previous crashes where the banks, they held somebody's money, but the bank failed and everybody that actually had their money in the savings account, they just lost it. So the second thing we're looking at is making sure that these are FDIC insured. And what that means is up to $250,000 your money will be protected. Okay, guys? And so every savings account we talk about today is going to be FDIC insured. Now, the next thing we want to look at when considering a savings account is account fees. We do not want to have to deal with account fees, late fees, all that stuff that's just annoying stuff. Like if you, I think it was Chase Bank I had, and they were giving me late fees and overdraft fees all the time, and it just drove me nuts. I'm not a fan of Chase savings accounts for that reason specifically. Okay, guys, so besides no fees on these savings accounts, another thing that we're going to consider is a 24/7 customer support. It is just, in my opinion, it's a must-have feature right now for any company that has savings accounts. You need to be able to call online, speak to someone if you want to get a transfer, or just any questions you have. I think having a 24/7 customer support is really, really helpful. So everything we talk about today is going to have that 24/7 customer service that we like to see, right? But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the basis for what we're looking at in these savings accounts. Alright, so one thing before we start talking about the specific savings account I wanted to clarify is why a lot of these savings accounts are just online savings account. These aren't physical locations. I know a lot of you guys are asking that. And the real reason is, simply put, these online savings accounts are just offering way higher interest rates. Okay, guys? You can go to a Chase, you can go to a Capital One, you can go to Bank of America, open up a savings account there at a physical location, but your interest rate is going to be awful, maybe 0.06% if you're lucky. I had one savings account for Chase, which was getting 0.04% at one time, which is like, why have a savings account? You're getting nothing. Those are literally pennies. So the real reason here, guys, is just simply the online savings account are just offering way higher interest rates. So I know a lot of you guys want physical banks that you can go, and do everything physically, in person. And I'm sorry, I wish there were more physical footprints in this space that actually offered better savings accounts. But guys, with that being said, I wanted y'all to have the 5 best savings accounts, and those just all happen to be online right now. So the last thing I want to talk about before we start getting to the specific savings accounts that I want to recommend today is I want to make sure you guys understand what this savings account is going to be for. This is not going to be, where you put all of your money in. I honestly recommend only put in 3 to 6 months rent, right? A lot of financial advisors will say 6 to 12, but I think 3 to 6 months of rent saved up in a savings account is all you need, okay guys? So this is going to be for emergency funds. This is going to be your emergency fund whenever you need some money. You have this savings account, okay? The reason why I don't recommend putting a lot of money in savings accounts right now is because the interest rates are not beating inflation. Especially in 2022 where inflation rate is at a crazy 8.5%. It might be the highest I think we've recorded in I don't even know how many years, right? It's been a long time since we've seen inflation this high. So right now, any savings account is not beating inflation. So, that being said, any savings account, you're not really going to be making money, you're going to be losing money, okay? So that's why we don't want to put a lot of money in these savings accounts right now until the Federal Reserve kind of raises the interest rates and inflation goes back down. So this is only going to be for emergency funds, 3 to 6 months to 6 to 12 months rent, nothing more than that, because you will be losing money right now in 2022. Okay guys, that's all. I just want to make sure we have, we're on the same page there. I do not want you to put all $200,000 of your money in a savings account right now. Please don't do that. Put them in index funds. Put them somewhere where they're going to get more than a measly 0.50% interest right now, right guys? Alright, so the first savings bank we're going to be talking about today is Wealthfront Bank. Now, I love their savings accounts. I've been using Wealthfront for 2+ years, and it's my personal favorite savings account. I'm probably a little biased here because I love their tech and their UI on the app. I personally think Wealthfront has the best tech when it comes to just the UI design and their application itself. I'm a tech nerd, guys. I've worked in tech for 8+ years, so I really appreciate just good tech and a really great application. And Wealthfront, if you like me and you just want a good savings account but also has a really neat application, it also has a feature where you can, put how much income you make every month, how much you're putting into your savings, and it'll tell you each year, by age 35 when you can retire. And it's a really cool feature for a lot of people like me that just kind of like to plan out ahead of time to see when they can retire if they have this, interest rate with this much savings put aside every month. So Wealthfront, we're talking about the interest rate here. It's going to be a 0.35%. So they are just beating that 0.30% interest rate, which we're talking about, which is the standard. So they are above that standard. They do have FDIC insurance up to $250,000. They also have the 24/7 customer support as well as the no account fees. And in my opinion, I just love their app. I think they are a great company and one of the best savings accounts that you can get right now. Unfortunately, the interest rate is a little lower than I would like it. It's only at a 0.35%. I would really like to see it at a 0.50%. But I still think Wealthfront is an incredible savings account to have, especially if you're someone like me who likes to, get their checks and just put them into Wealthfront, because Wealthfront, what's really cool about Wealthfront is their savings accounts, there's no difference between a checking and savings. They have like a hybrid account, essentially, right? So what that means is if you're someone that likes to do a lot of transfers and stuff like that with your money and withdrawals, then Wealthfront's going to be for you. Because legally, savings accounts cannot actually give you that high interest rate if you're doing more than 6 transfers a month. And that's pretty much the standard for all savings accounts. But Wealthfront, the way they get around that is by having this hybrid checking savings account, which is probably why the interest rate is a little lower, so you have to sacrifice that. But if you just like, putting your check into some savings account, you don't have to do much and you can just transfer, you don't have to worry about losing your interest rate, Wealthfront's going to be for you guys. I highly recommend it. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the second savings account we're going to be talking about today. Alright guys, so the second savings account we're going to be talking about today is from Ally Bank. Their savings account is personally something I've been also using for a long time. A lot of people are just now starting to hear more and more about Ally Savings Account because they are really a great company. And in my opinion, they're going to be one of my personal favorites when it comes to savings account. Now, their interest rate is going to be getting a 0.50% interest, which in today's time is really high right now. That's one of the highest savings account interest rates that I was able to find. They also have the 24/7 customer support, no account fees, and they are also FDIC insured. So Ally Bank is another amazing option if you want a savings account with high yield interest and you're not planning on doing a lot of transfers or withdrawals, because you won't get that interest rate if you are doing a lot of withdrawals from these Ally savings account. This is one that I really recommend that you're going to want to, just put your emergency fund in and not touch it unless you really need it. Then you can take it out and use that money. But it's really going to be just for that emergency fund like we talked about earlier. Ally savings account, great, simple, nothing to it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next savings account today. All right, guys, so the next savings account we're going to be talking about is kind of a new one that I've been hearing about. A lot of people aren't very familiar with it yet, but it's going to be called Alliant. Now, Alliant is going to be a little different than the other savings account because it's not FDIC insured, it is NCUA insured, which, after doing some homework, the only difference is FDIC insures, bank deposits, while NCUA insures credit union deposits. So either way, they're going to work very similar. They're going to be insuring up to $250,000, and they're going to be protecting you. So I did do my homework and make sure that the NCUA insurance is actually valid and applicable when it comes to looking at savings accounts. Now, the next thing when we're looking at Alliant is that it's getting a crazy 0.60% interest rate, guys. Yeah, 0.60% interest rate. That's the highest I was able to find right now. I don't think you're going to find anything higher than a 0.60% interest rate, right? They do have the no account fees, 24/7 customer support, and in my opinion, they seem like an amazing savings account to go ahead and try. I personally haven't used them yet, but I've only heard great things from everybody online, and I've read a bunch of reviews. Nothing but great things have been said. So this is another great savings account option to consider, especially if you're really looking for the highest yield when it comes to your interest rate, guys. All right, so the next savings account we're going to be talking about is the Discover Online Savings account, and in my opinion, this is one of the better options out there right now. The interest rate is at an incredible 0.60%. So this is, like I said, the highest that you can find right now if you're just looking at just specifically, high yield interest. So they get that 0.60%, extremely high, right? They have, the customer support, no account fees, and they are FDIC insured up to $250,000, so you will have that protection as well. And another tidbit that's kind of neat with this specific savings account, it's not going to matter if you're like a lot of people, you're not going to put a lot of money in the savings account, and you're just going to treat it as an emergency fund. But if you do deposit $15,000, you're going to get like a $150 bonus that they're going to give you for using the savings account. And if you deposit over $25,000, you'll be getting a $250 cash bonus. So just maybe something that's a little interesting tidbit that's not really offered on a lot of these other savings accounts. But if you're really putting that much money in your savings account, you either have an extremely expensive rent or you just don't know what you're doing. Because in my opinion, you should not have over $25K in a savings account unless, like I said, that 6 to 12 month rent that you're putting in there for your emergency fund is just absurdly expensive. Maybe in that case I would understand, but in most cases you probably shouldn't have that much in your savings account. You should be putting more of that in maybe index funds or somewhere where it's actually going to be potentially beating inflation. You're not going to be losing money like we talked about earlier. Alright guys, so Discover Online Savings, I think it's an amazing choice, and right now it's going to be in the top 2 best savings accounts to have for 2022. But yeah guys, let's get into the one that everybody's been waiting for, the number 1 savings account to have in 2022. Here we go, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so the number 1 savings account to have in 2022 is going to be Marcus Goldman Sachs savings account. Now the interest rate is at an amazing 0.60% interest. So it is at that extremely high interest rate that right now is unbeatable. Nobody is beating 0.60% interest rate currently in 2022. So they have an amazing interest rate. They have the FDIC insurance up to $250,000. They also have no account fees and a 24/7 customer support. And in my opinion, they're my favorite because you can literally just pick up the phone, call them, and they'll answer, and you can talk to them about anything you want. And also, another plus is they have same-day transfers for $100,000 or less. That's a huge deal, guys. So a lot of people know that it's incredibly hard to transfer money. Sometimes it takes up to 3 days. Like a lot of other banks, it'll take 3 days. Marcus, Goldman Sachs is literally offering same-day transfers for 100K or less. That's pretty much unheard of with a lot of these savings accounts. Like I said, it's going to take 3 days. I know Wealthfront took me 3 days. I know Ally took me 3 days. So that's why it is the #1 savings account to have. Not only because it has the high interest rate, FDIC, everything that we're looking for, but it also has same-day transfers, which is a big deal for a lot of people, especially if you like to transfer money or, it is an emergency fund, right? This is our emergency fund, so you're going to want that same-day transfer because it's an emergency. And that's why I love this savings account. I personally am transferring a lot of my money and creating one of these savings accounts over my current ones like Wealthfront and Ally. I love them both, but I'm going to be testing Marcus Goldman Sachs savings account because currently right now the interest rates you can't beat, and the same-day transfers, I think a lot of us know how much of a pain transfers are, so we all love that. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for today. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. This was the top 5 savings accounts to have in 2022. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, if you have any other savings account that maybe you like personally that I left out. Or if you just have any suggestions for future videos, that I can do in the future. I do read all of the comments, guys. But yes, thanks again for stopping by, and I will see you.